Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another instant deck tech. Today we got a pretty spicy one for Modern. We're going to be checking out this 4-color Dredge list, which recently took Magic Online user SMTY to a 5-0 finish in a league. So congrats to SMTY for their finish with the deck. Quick reminder before we break it all down, if you enjoy this deck and want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment. Anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into Much Ado About Nothing videos the following week. Anyway, let's talk about 4-color Dredge. So 4-color Dredge, as its name suggests, is built around the Dredge mechanic. If you're not familiar with the Dredge mechanic, it might just be the most broken, definitely one of the most broken mechanics ever printed. So Dredge is essentially a replacement effect. If you have a Dredge card in your graveyard, you can skip a draw. So at the beginning of your turn, you go to draw a card. You don't draw that card. Instead, you dredge or mill X number of cards from your library into your graveyard and return the Dredge card to your hand. So Stinkweed Imp, for example, is a 3-mana 1/2 with what basically amounts to Death Touch, and it has Dredge 5. So if you have Stinkweed in your graveyard, you skip your draw, you mill 5 cards, and get Stinkweed back to your hand. Now, Stinkweed isn't great in and of itself as far as constructed cards in Modern go. You wouldn't play it as a 1/2 Death Touch for 3 mana, but the power of these cards is it allows you to fill your graveyard really, really fast. That's the main reason you play these cards. So the idea of the deck is you will get a Dredge card in your graveyard as soon as possible. And how do you go about getting the Dredge cards in your graveyard? Well, this is where some of the new cards come in. First off, Insolent Neonate, 1-mana 1/1, you can discard a card and sack it to draw a card. So you can play this on turn 1, immediately sack it, discard your Golgari Grave Troll, your Life from the Loam, one of your Dredge cards, and start dredging on turn 2. Lotleth Troll just allows you to discard a card anytime you want to, as long as it's a creature card, which most of your dredgers are, and you get a +1/+1 counter on it. Faithless Looting, another turn 1 way to fill your graveyard with dredgers, and even Rotting Rats. Rotting Rats kind of works both ways. It's not bad to discard, because you can unearth it and get it back, but when it enters the battlefield, each player discards a card, so you can use it to discard a dredger. So what's the payoff for going through all this work and all this dredging? What are you trying to dredge into your graveyard? Well, this is the big payoff. First off, you got 4 Vengevines, a 4/3 haste for 4 mana, but whenever you cast a creature spell, if it's the second creature spell you cast that turn, you get to get Vengevine back from your graveyard. So essentially it's a 4/3 haste that you get for free, so you dredge it into the graveyard, you get it back for free, can attack with it immediately, and even if it dies, you can potentially just keep getting it back over and over again. Prized Amalgam, another new addition from Shadows over Innistrad. So a 3-mana 3/3, but whenever a creature enters the battlefield, if it entered from your graveyard or you cast it from your graveyard, you get to get back Prized Amalgam at your end step for free. So when you get the Vengevine back, it'll trigger, well, create a delayed trigger for Prized Amalgam, and at the next end step, you'll get back Prized Amalgam as well. Gravecrawler does the same thing. You mill Gravecrawler, you can cast it from your graveyard. If you control a zombie, which Lotleth Troll is, Prized Amalgam is, Rotting Rats is. So you have several zombies in the deck. And Gravecrawler is super synergistic. Not only does it create the trigger for Prized Amalgam, but you can also use it to trigger the Vengevine, get back your Vengevines. So eventually you dredge these cards, cast a couple of Gravecrawlers, and all of a sudden you get back a bunch of hasty 3/4s and a 3/3 and hopefully win the game. Mana base wise, pretty simple. Bunch of the Scars of Mirrodin Fastlands, Gemstone Mine, the only blue source in the deck, so it's pretty difficult to actually cast a Prized Amalgam, and then 2 Grove of the Burnwillows, then just a basic mountain and a basic swamp. In the sideboard, have a little more Dredge and Dark Blast, but really this is all removal. Dark Blast is a removal spell that you can dredge. You give a creature -1/-1 till end of turn, also dredges. Golgari Charm can wipe away a bunch of Lingering Souls tokens, or destroy an enchantment, or regenerate all your creatures, and Ancient Grudge deals with artifacts or enchantments. Tormod's Crypt, Graveyard Hate, that doesn't hit your graveyard. Most of the time, most decks want Relic of Virginities because it's a better card, but it's symmetrical. Tormod's Crypt just deals with your opponent's graveyard. A couple Inquisitions, and Gnaw to the Bone is the trump card against aggro. You gain 2 life for each creature in your graveyard when you cast it, which is fine. It's an instant, but you can flash it back for 2 and a green. So basically, you just dredge this into your graveyard along with a bunch of creatures, flash it back, gain 20, 30, 40 life, and put the game out of reach for your opponent. Anyway, that's been our 4-color Dredge instant deck tech. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our 4-color Dredge instant deck tech, and I will talk to you soon.